He goes, I got everything ready, your stickers and everything. If you can come up here today, pay your fee, you can pick it up. I'm like, perfect. I'll be there this afternoon. So, but then I got to study for that mosquito license test. They say that one's kind of hard. So, and these SBA, I don't know if anybody else is waiting on their SBA loan, but they are just so slow right now. And they actually, I had submitted mine early, and then they said it was too early. The bank did, not Fran Fund. Had me withdraw, resubmit, did that. It still hasn't been assigned to an underwriter. So I got a hold of them again yesterday, Fran Fund, and she actually sent me a list to start working on that, the closing, or the people are going to request once we get to that part. But I'm like, I'm not going to be funded by the time I open. So
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either. And I know in training, they said Missy would get in touch with us all. And I haven't, this week, I haven't heard from her at all. So.
Are you talking about the van?
Well, for the van and the SBA loan, she does an SBA loan also.
Oh, okay. I didn't go through Missy with the SBA, but yeah, I sent them. Actually, I got my insurance and stuff yesterday, and I sent that. So I'm waiting. I'm hoping they ship it next week to me.
I think she's overwhelmed. We've been trying to battle with her on just licensing because we had to relicense it in our name, obviously. And they tried telling us we needed another vehicle inspection because it was an out-of-state vehicle. I'm like, but the vehicle hasn't left the state. It just transferred owners. So our tech took it down to get it relicensed. And they're like, well, we can just get you taken care of today if you want to pay the licensing fee. I'm like, well, we've already paid that TBBK. So it's like, I'm not paying two people to license this van. So we're waiting to find out what direction we get to move in.
There's so many moving parts to this deal, I'll tell you. But it's coming together, so I guess. I don't know.
One day at a time.
Yeah.
Alrighty, it does look like everybody's here, so that's great to see. Let's go ahead and get started. And then I know it seems like you guys have a lot that you kind of want to talk with the group about. That's what we'll do in the open forum section at the bottom. So let me just get through. I just had a couple things I wanted to talk to you guys about, and then I'll open it up to anybody. First and foremost, welcome. This is our first of our many RAMP weekly calls. The calendar invite will come in just like that. It'll just say the RAMP weekly call or whatever it was that I titled it, and it will always be 12 Eastern Standard Time. So here is my agenda for the day. I always try to set an agenda for the call just so you know we'll be talking about and we can stay on track. But for today, I'll just give you an overview of how these calls work as well as some ground rules. And then we'll look at your marketing calendar for the year just to kind of get an idea of when you'll start doing those local ground game tactics. You should start planning, who's going to help you out now, what it's going to look like for the year. After having a lot of the one-on-one calls with you guys, it seems like a lot of you are looking to hire right away. So I did put in here a couple slides on hiring and recruitment best practices so we can talk about that. And then I'll just open it up, open forum, and then I'll talk to you about what we're going to do on our next webinar, which will be December 4th, because next week is Black Friday and we're off here. So let me just jump in. I do want to start with an icebreaker first, just so everybody's kind of vocal and open, and you guys all came through the same class, so it's great you already know each other, but I do like to start with an icebreaker just to kind of get some laughs and whatnot. So my one for today is, what is everybody's favorite Thanksgiving dish? And I just, whoever wants to start, if you want to jump in, or if you want me to go down who's on my Brady Bunch screen here. But does anybody want to start? Okay, go ahead, Cody. Thanks.
My grandmother's pork roast.
Pork roast?
Yes.
Sounds good. And I do ask, if you have a good recipe, please feel free to share it. I am hosting Friendsgiving this Saturday, but not making anything elaborate like that. I think we're just doing appetizers and stuff. No turkey will be made.
But as Dean knows, Cajuns don't cook with recipes.
Very true. Megan, would you like to go?
Yeah, pumpkin pie, the more the better. We make it with homemade whipped cream, and then we have it for breakfast the next morning too. So it's delicious.
That's good. Dessert for breakfast is always good. Anyone else?
Cornbread dressing.
What was that? Cornbread?
Cornbread dressing.
Ooh, what's
with the giblets and the turkey juice and all that stuff. Yeah.
I'll go with the stuffing
the stuffing?
with, a combination of sausage and ground beef and some other stuff mixed in with the bread.
Yeah, that's my favorite, sausage stuffing.
Good recipe.
So good.
Yeah. And pumpkin pie for breakfast sounds pretty good too.
Brad, how about you?
Makes a sweet potato casserole or something. It's a vegetable disguised as candy. Really good.
I've just been getting into the sweet potato. I usually do the mashed potato, but the sweet potato is really good. The marshmallows on top, a little brown sugar. That's good. Anyone else?
Brad took mine. Mine's also sweet potato casserole. So.
You guys,
Along the same lines, it's mashed sweet potatoes with brown sugar and butter here.
there you go.
I'm gonna go with green bean casserole since the sweet potato stuff's already been taken. So
Who didn't go yet? I'm trying to look at my screen.
My sister makes something called like green rice or something like that. I don't know what's in it or anything. It's just rice and I think broccoli or something.
Broccoli,
But it's good.
yeah.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Anyone else? Okay, I think we're all good. Interesting, nobody said the actual turkey. I guess Thanksgiving really is just for all the sides. So that's good. If you do make any good sides or anything like that, please feel free to share the recipes. I always would like to try something new. But thank you for that. I know sometimes it's just getting everyone to kind of talk and open up. It's a good start to these meetings. So now I'll just go through what a typical RAMP webinar looks like. You know, what we'll be talking about each Friday at noon. It's kind of broken into two different kinds of topics. One will be the ground game strategies. I'll either assign you some homework for that week. I'll either have you watch a video from a franchisee, just testimonials from them, or there'll be something on Law and Doctor University that I'll have you watch. And then on a Friday call, we'll go through a how-to of how to execute the strategy, share best practices from past franchisees. And then we'll do a roundtable like this of just what did everyone accomplish? You know, how many door hangers were they able to put out? What obstacles did they run into? And just share wins and successes from the week. And then we'll also review the ground game dashboard. The dashboard, I don't think anyone has seen it yet. You don't have access yet. They're still kind of finalizing some edits and updates that they're making. Once you have access, I'll go through all of that on this call. And that'll just kind of be a scorecard of where everybody's at. It'll be a little bit of a friendly competition because you'll see how you're doing compared to others. But it's all for the fun of it and to keep everybody motivated. After we've reviewed all the ground game tactics, and you know, we've kind of gone through them a couple times, you guys will be sick of hearing about it from me. So we do transition more into guest speakers or subject matter experts, meaning we'll get Chris Sherrington on and he'll talk about common lawn issues. He'll come on during fall services and how to prepare lawns for winter. He could talk about the mosquito upsell. A ton of times he'll come on, he'll talk about HydroGuard, wherever you feel necessary. Laura Peretti, she'll come on to discuss call center process because you will come across a lot of questions as you start working with the software and how does the call center work versus, you know, where do you step in? So she'll come on and talk about that. We could get a year 2, year 3 franchise to talk about upsell opportunities with the different services, but I try to make it so that anything that you have questions on throughout your first year, I try to get a subject matter expert on just to kind of go a deep dive into it. I do have a schedule set of certain topics that I've just noticed that got brought up on last year's calls a lot and, you know, subjects that they needed help with, and I pulled together a list of that. If you find that there's something that you need more resources on or more information, anything at all, just shoot me an email and I'll put together something on one of our Friday calls. It's really important just to know that these Friday calls are for you guys. And that's why I like to do a lot of the open forum style. And if there's anything you need, just let me know and I'll get together a PowerPoint presentation slide. I'll grab somebody from corporate to jump on, anything like that. So that's kind of the 2 ways we'll go about it, either ground game or a different aspect of the business. Some ground rules, I will put an agenda slide on at the beginning of the call. I just ask that we stick to the agenda, as we go through the call. That way, I can get out everything I need to say. We kind of stay on track and we don't go all over the place. And at the end, I always end it with open forum. So that's where you can bring up questions or anything else that you're going through. But let's just, stick to the agenda at first, and then I'll open it up. Your participation is mandatory. So I do want to see everybody on these Friday calls. I know it's going to get a little frantic when you're out servicing, but as long as you can just kind of plug in with your headphones, I would really appreciate that. I do record them all, so I will send them out after each meeting, but participation is mandatory. And that also means on the calls as well, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to ask questions, share your experiences. Again, this really is for you and how you make it. Does anyone have any questions on just what the typical Friday call is going to look like? We're all good? Okay. So now I do want to just give a glance. This is the Southern marketing calendar. So if you're Southern, take a look at this one. The next slide will be for Northern. Does anybody not know whether they're going to follow the Southern marketing calendar or the Northern marketing calendar? No? Okay, I see. I'm not sure, but I do have some of you that are transitional, I believe. If you're transitional, we do recommend that you follow the Northern recommended calendar, but really take a look at these dates and whatever one kind of fits into your territory and what makes sense for you, you're more than welcome to follow whichever one. So this is the Southern Power Window. As you can see here, down here, I've listed out January through December. You're not going to be doing full force marketing all throughout the year. It's just not possible. You're going to get super burnt out by the end of the year. So what we have done is condense it into a 10-week period of where you're going to be most doing all of your local ground game tactics. So for the Southern Power Window, that is from February to April. And I've pulled out those dates there. It starts February 6th and it ends April 16th. And that's each week, 10 weeks, you'll be putting out 1,000 door hangers per week, 20 lawn signs per week, 2 park and wave events per week. We will go into those different tactics and how to execute them and strategies and best practices on other calls. But I do just want to give you a glance now of what your year is going to look like. And it's really just so, we take these couple of months now until we hit February to prepare how we're going to execute all these different marketing strategies, because it is a lot. I know a lot of you are looking to hire, so that's great. You will have the help there and the support there. But just kind of be thinking now, get the wheels turning. Are you going to ask a friend or family member to help you put out the door hangers each week? Are you going to hire maybe a high school student? I've seen people do that in the past. Are you going to split it with your technician, have them put out some lawn signs? So I wanted to give you, we don't have to go into any of the details now, but just an overview of what your year is going to look like and start to kind of think how you're going to plan to execute all the different strategies. I did put on here mosquito season. That's May through July. And that also includes 100 of the mosquito lawn signs and 500 of the mosquito door hangers. Something I just learned from last year, just a best practice, I'll say now, when you're doing your lawn evaluations at the beginning of the spring season, always include a quote for mosquito and say, I'll circle back to this, when mosquito when they start coming out, we'll come back to this quote, but I wanted to give it you now to start thinking about it. That way they know you do the mosquito service. Nothing's worse than when you show up and there's a mosquito Joe or somebody servicing their property. And it can get the customer to start thinking about that additional upsell as well. I've listed down at the bottom here the other tactics that you will be asked to do. So that's the 25 Google reviews for the South. It's by February 15th. And then just so everyone knows, that Google review email will be going out the 24th, so Tuesday of next week. So you'll start to see some Google reviews come in from your list that you guys sent over. So that'll be good. And then all year round tactics include clover leafing. So that's door hanging before and after your service. B2B partnerships, these will come organically just as you start to make connections in your territory. But I'd like you guys to at least be talking to one potential business partner per month, just to kind of get the conversation going. Facebook, it's recommended that you post once per week on your local Facebook page just to keep it active. And then parking anytime the vehicle is not in use. It's always recommended. Here is where's my mouse? the northern power window. So it looks exactly the same, except your weeks are just a little different. So it starts March 13th to May 21st is your power window. And after that, you'll jump right into mosquito season. But now I do want to open up, does anyone have any questions as far as the power window, when it starts, when it ends, what ground game tactics are required, anything like that on this?
Will we get a copy of the slide?
What was that, Cody?
Will we get a copy of these slides?
Yeah, so I plan to send this one, and then I have another slide after this. You'll get it at your startup visit when Jay and I go through your marketing.
Okay, thanks.
So it says 1,000 door hangers per week for how many weeks? I was trying to figure that out.
So it's 10 weeks.
Oh,
You'll end up putting out 10,000 door hangers. That's why I do want to get this conversation going now. It is a very high number. It is a lot to pull out, especially on your own. It's great that you guys are hiring technicians. They could help with the work. But I've just seen it's just not, you can't do it all on your own. So start thinking now about friends and family or hiring somebody to do it, that kind of thing to help with the support there.
okay. So here's my next question then. I see that I'm looking at my inventory list of the marketing materials that are coming. So they're only sending 1,000 door hangers, it looks like, right? So we're gonna have to buy another 9,000 or?
You get 10,000 of those door hanger pieces. I think you're talking about the sheet that Kim sent over. I'm not sure if it's.
Yeah. It says door hangers and 2 sizes, and then it says quantity is 500 pieces on each of those that I'm looking at. So
Yeah, so those that you're looking at are the clover leafing pieces, which we
okay.
got in the next slide. So you'll get, I think, a variety of 6 different clover leafing pieces. They have all different services on them. And 500 each of those. And then aside from the clover leafing package, you get 10,000 of these door hangers, which, once you receive them, we'll probably have a webinar on them, how to execute them, what they look like, but you will get 10,000 pieces. You won't need to purchase anything additional.
Okay.
As far as the 20 lawn signs, can you give an example of that? Like, where is that something you put out in a friend's yard or somewhere?
Yep, you could do it either way. So it's you get a total of 200 lawn signs, so you'll be putting out 20 per week. They are the larger signs. They kind of look like like the realtor signs or the
garage sale signs.
Yeah, you could put them out either in customers' yards. I do recommend you ask permission. Just let them know, I would like to put this out for a couple of days. I could come by and swoop it up on our next service. Friends and families' yards, definitely lean on them. If they live in territory, I would put them out there. And then you're going to look for high traffic intersections. So, around the shopping complexes that have like the Walmart or the gas stations, anywhere that's super visible and it's going to get the most eyes on it. You're going to find maybe there's a development or a neighborhood that you really want to target, and let's HOA and they don't allow you to put out lawn signs. Think about the routes that those homeowners take to get into town and put them out there. We'll get more into the lawn sign strategies. You'll find that you'll put them out and then by 2 days they'll get taken down, and you'll kind of get a little, you'll be bummed out about that. But I'll always say, think about how many people have seen it already, and think about how many impressions you've gotten just by having it out for those 2 days. But those are easy to execute. Always have them in your truck. You're driving, you see a really good spot, pull it out, post it, and then go on with your rest of your route. Anyone else?
I was just going to say, if some of you aren't hiring right away, one of the things that we did, because even just getting out 1,000 that we've done, I can't do it by myself. And our tech was servicing vehicles. We enlisted our neighbors. I might have shared this during training, and offered to service their lawn for free. And she's kind of my lawn influencer, as we call it. So she comments on Nextdoor when people are looking for lawn services. She comments on our Facebook page. She knows a lot of people, so it's good to have her as a neighbor. But we decided that it would just be in our best interest to just service her lawn for free, in addition to having them help. So if you have neighbors or somebody who you might not necessarily want to pay to do the work, if that's something that's, not readily available right now as the cash flow is, see if you can trade off services, so to speak. It's been a big help.
It's a great idea. That's good. Really good recommendation. Okay, so you will get a copy of this, you know, when Jay and I does your marketing visit, and then we'll go more detail into the different tactics and that kind of thing. But I just wanted to give you an overview because sometimes it's overwhelming to think about it from January to December. It really is a sprint in that 10 weeks. And we'll do countdowns each week. You know, week 1's done, week 2's done. Unfortunately, those in the South go first, so those in the North can kind of see how bad it is, but we're all in it together once the 10 weeks is done. It is kind of a little bit of sigh of relief, but then you have to go back to servicing and whatnot. But it's good that we're taking a look at it now. So the next thing, again, just wanted to give you an overview of the clover leafing that you'll be doing. So that's the door hangers that were in that email that Kim had sent you. You're gonna get, I think it's 6 varieties. Let's take a look. This is the Southern Clover Leafing Program. And I just wanted to list them out here. You'll get a copy of this, like I said, with the other one. And these are what you're gonna wanna be putting out after your servicing. So that's the 5 across, 5 up, 5 down. And these are really gonna help you with your upsells and help you build density around your existing customers. So this one might really fall on your technician, but this is a good calendar kind of to follow. I got with Chris Sherrington and he gave me these recommended dates of when, you know, HydroGuard is most relevant in the South. So that's May and June. You're going to be wanting to put that out. Soil enrichment, it looks like you really could put it out all season. Same with fire ant. But just have this, you know, start thinking about this. And what you're going to want to do is preload the van with whatever door hangers you want your technician to put out. So if that time you're promoting perimeter pests, make sure he's got a stack of perimeter pest door hangers and have him do the 10 up, 10 down. So that's the one for the Southern program, and here's the one for the Northern. So we've got the dandelions, the tree and shrub, soil enrichment again, grub control, and then very heavy, we'll even talk about it, a lot will be focused on the power sealing and the aeration because that's a moneymaker for the Northern as well. Any questions on the clover leafing? I know I am just kind of giving you a very on the surface look into it, but I just wanted to get your guys starting to think about it. We'll go a much deeper into one of our next weekly calls. Okay, so the hiring and recruitment best practices. I did want to get something on here just because after speaking with a lot of you, it seems like you want to be hiring maybe a little sooner than intended. So I do want to have a conversation about this. What I will say, I'll start off by saying I would definitely defer to your RBC on hiring and recruiting. They are the ones really the experts on it. If you haven't gotten in touch with your RBC yet, just reach out and let them know, you know, you're looking to hire. Can we have a quick call about best practices and whatnot? So I will just go through kind of what I know and what I've gathered from the RBCs, and we'll go a little bit into it, and then let's open it up for discussion because I feel like some of you guys do want to talk about this. So what we do recommend as far as hiring and recruiting, you're going to want to hire, train, and have a fully onboarded technician before your power window. That's going to be your busiest time, so you don't really want to start training somebody when you're just getting crazy busy with leads and incoming calls and that kind of thing. So plan to have somebody fully onboarded for your power window. It's recommended that you start off with the 20 hours per week and adjust as needed. Most likely we see, you know, if you start off with 20 hours per week at the beginning of the power window, by the end, they'll probably be a full-time employee. And how you kind of think about this is your RBC, I will default to them, but you know, your hours per week of your technician needed really will depend on how many services you can complete each day. And that will depend on, you know, how far apart they are, you know, what's the size of the property, but however many they can get done per day and then per week. And you'll take that number and look at your sales projections, and you'll be able to kind of gauge at one point you need to increase their hours. But definitely default to your RBC for that one. And then always be recruiting, even if you aren't looking to hire. You should always be actively recruiting. We recommend you having a job posting, even if you're not at this specific moment looking to hire, because that way you have a good amount of candidates that you can look through and kind of really pick the best one and not be panicking when you are looking to hire somebody. Then you're rushing, you might not get the quality of the technician. So always be recruiting, always be thinking about it. So as far as recruitment best practices, It is a combination of different tactics, just like how your marketing is a combination of a lot of tactics. But the main things, the big bread and butter, comes down to the Career Plug Pro and then ground game tactics that you can do at a local level. So for Career Plug, everybody should have set up with their pro account. I do recommend that you go in, there's a video that you can kind of watch or a walkthrough that you can click and just really familiarize yourself with the site. But it is a huge asset. There's job templates already in there for a lawn technician, but we do recommend that you customize them, just add a little local flair, local information. That way you could, better reach out to your candidates and give them the better expectations of what you're looking for. There are assessment tests in there that you can have them fill out right away after they filled out their job application. And there's also assessment tests as they start going through the interview process, different qualifications that you're looking for. Again, customize those. I think it says something like, do you enjoy working outside? Can you lift 50 pounds of weight? But I would definitely look into them and add whatever you feel necessary. And then you should be refreshing your post each week. That way it comes back up on the top of the page for all those that they go out to, the ZipRecruiter, Monster, whatever the job postings that it is. Does anyone have questions on Career Plug Pro now? Did anyone not get their account yet?
That's a question I think I have, because obviously ours was set up through somebody else. So I don't even know if we have access to it right now.
Okay.
Or if we would need to read. Because is this something that we pay for?
So I think Career Plug is just the standard package. No, the Pro is about $500 a year.
Okay. Okay.
Career Plug.
But we have a subscription to their just a regular account, right, for 1 year.
And we have
Yes.
pro for a year.
You have Pro for a year as part
okay.
as part of the marketing package.
Because they were trying to get me to set up payment. I see, but I guess for automatic payment for next time. But
I think they said that you're supposed to send that invoice to
I think I said we would get a invoice in December for the $495, and we were just supposed to send that over to Kim.
okay.
Yeah, and then it's handled through your deferred package.
Right.
So Career Plug is really, hopefully with that, and you'll start to see a lot of candidates come through. I would post your job now, just so we have some time to build up those candidates. And then on top of that, you're going to want to be doing what we call the ground game tactics for recruiting. So that's, looking at your local community college and getting a flyer posted on their job posting bulletin. I would contact the career office and just let them know, about Lawn Doctor, what you're looking for. Students are great for part-time. You will have to work around their schedule, so it might be a little more difficult, but if you're looking for part-time, they're good. Fire departments, any of those guys are looking for a part-time job as well. They obviously can lift the 50 pounds of weight. They're hard workers, so that's a good place to look. And then always be actively recruiting while you're out shopping, or I know it's kind of hard now with COVID, but what's the restaurants that you frequently visit? You notice somebody that has great work ethic. They've always got a smile on their face. Hand them a business card. We also have recruitment cards. I don't know if anyone got the chance to look at that PDF that I sent over of the recruiting planner. But in there are postcards, flyers, all that you can get printed. I would just always have a stack of business cards or those recruitment cards that you can hand out. And again, you don't have to be actively looking for somebody, but you could just say, hey, when you're ready, let's have a conversation or something like that. And then just
Sorry, Gabriella, I think I missed it. What's the draw to the fire departments?
Just that they're looking for part-time work. You will, again, have to fit around their schedule, but they obviously can lift the 50 pounds of weight. They have great work ethic. It's just somewhere that we've seen get some really good candidates from. Where you're going to find your best candidates is really word of mouth, and a friend of a friend that could really vouch, or even reach out to any local lawn doctors, and somebody might have applied through them and they just didn't have the capacity to take them at that time, and then you could maybe grab them and have them be a technician. But really, with the Career Plug Pro, you should start to see a good influx of candidates there, because that goes out to multiple sites. There's a lot of great assets on there to use, the assessment test to really be able to filter your candidates, and that kind of thing. I do want to open it up now. Oh, let's talk a little bit about onboarding and training before we open up the floor. Because I know some concerns I'm hearing is, how do I train a technician when I'm just learning the agronomy program myself? That is a very, very valid question. All new franchisees kind of feel that way. What I do recommend is, once you've trained somebody, I would look for somebody that does have a little bit of experience. It's not always required, but if I were you, that's kind of the route that I would go, being new myself. And if you're still learning the agronomy program, I would want to hire somebody that does have a little bit of that background. But we can't always get, the best candidate. We really just get, whatever comes our way. But so as far as training, Law and Doctor University is really going to be your go-to. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to look at the university yet, but there's a technician training program that goes, it's a very in-depth on agronomy and servicing. And I just listed here other things that I would recommend you have your technicians complete. So there's a customer service section, a safety training, sales training if you want them to kind of go out and maybe proactively close some leads. You definitely want a well-rounded technician, so I would have them complete that. And then technical training. With Law and Doctor University, you could either give them your account and have them log in and go through the different modules, or you can set up an account for themselves. And that way you can assign different tests for them to take. You can track their progress, make sure they're completing it, that kind of thing. Has anyone not gone on Law and Doctor University yet that would like me? I could click the link and I could just walk through it, or is everyone familiar with Law and Doctor University?
It may help. I've gotten on there, but it may help to go through it real quick.
Sure,
And the
let's see.
secondary account, that actually costs a certain amount per month. Is that correct?
When you add somebody, I do
Right.
believe there is a per month or something. So what I would recommend is just turning it off once they've fully been onboarded.
Okay.
I think it's $2 a month subscription or something.
Yeah, and I know I have a walkthrough of how to add users. So if you're looking for that, just shoot me an email. I can send it. It's a how-to doc. So this is when we're logged in here. We'll go to training. I'm already logged in. It will ask you first to log in. Here's the technician training program right here. And then, so we have safety training, agronomy, equipment training. In here you see 10 courses, 3 catalogs, 6 courses. So it is pretty in-depth. This technician training program has been completely refreshed by Chris Sherrington. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. Basic first aid, driver safety, pesticide safety. You'll click into each one and you're gonna hit enroll and launch. And so even in each one, there's 3 different things right here for the technician to complete. Let's click enroll. I'll show you what it looks like. Once the technician or whoever's logged in will click enroll, you usually get an email notifying you that so-and-so has enrolled in the class. And then you'll hit launch. And then I hope everyone can see this, but it'll just pop up like this. And then push to start. We don't have to go through them, but each one will go like that. Then let's see if it goes back. Once it's completed, see how it says not attempted? Once the technician goes through the whole thing, it'll say complete. And that's how you'll be able to know where they're at.
So it would probably be best if they did have their own account then.
Yeah, just so you can kind of track it and make sure you know where they're at when they're complete. So this is the technician one. I would recommend customer service. It's nice. This one right here, the customer service one, just kind of setting expectations to the customer, how to educate them. I just think that would make a well-rounded employee.
Is everything on here a video, or is it some like PowerPoint presentations, or?
They're all kind of a video like that. You have to click next and kind of go through them. And then there are quizzes at the end. So you do need to pay attention. The quizzes are not hard. I've done a couple of them myself. But they're all kind of will open like that and be a video.
And I don't think any of them are much more than 10 minutes at most. The ones
No.
I've done have all been fairly short modules, but very informative.
So that's Law and Doctor University. Hopefully that kind of gives you a better sense of how you're going to train your technician. But again, that's kind of all on the computer, not really hands-on. So what are we going to do to get them, that hands-on training? if you could get somebody hired before your RBC comes out for your startup visit, that's going to be a huge bonus, because then they could walk through everything that your RBC does with you and kind of learn everything that you learn at your startup visit. I understand that that's not, you know, maybe it's a tight squeeze for some of you. You won't be able to get somebody like that right away. As part of the RAMP program, and in your first year, your RBC should be visiting you every 6 weeks in your first year. With COVID, it might be a little harder for your RBC to get there. That's just something we have to work around at this time. But when your RBC does come out to visit, have your technician there. And usually the startup visit, the first one, will have an agenda of what to go through. The follow-up visits are really, you could email your RBC and say, hey, I just got a new technician. I'd like to go through this with him, servicing the lawns, that kind of thing. And your RBC will go through all of that with your technician. So there's a lot of hands-on resources available there with those visits by your RBC. Let's say you can't get your RBC out for some time because of COVID, go to your mentor and bring your technician with them. Ask your mentor if your technician can do a ride-along with one of their staff. Maybe they shadow for a day. Lean on your mentor definitely during this time to onboard and train your technician. And then you're going to want to, you know, for quite some time, it might not be that you throw your technician right out on his own or her own. You'll kind of ride in the vehicle together, do some lawn evaluations together, maybe a couple services, and then you'll know based on your comfort level who's ready to kind of go out on their own and start servicing by themselves. So that's everything. I wanted to just give you an overview of you know, what I know as far as recruiting best practices. Does anyone have any questions for the group that they you know, are kind of feeling about hiring a technician?
Will we get, like, on Career Plug, like just a ton of resumes to go through? Or will they be pretty near?
Let's hope you get a ton of resumes. With Career Plug, the good thing is you can filter, and you can filter by experience, you can filter by certain qualifications, so that'll really help you narrow down your search. That's why we also recommend you taking that assessment test, having them take the assessment test. Some people won't take it, and you know right away, don't even reach out to those people because you know they didn't have the time to take the test. Based off the answers in the assessment test, you know, if somebody says no, they don't like working outdoors, you can automatically, you know, cut them off the list. So definitely take some time if you haven't done so already to go through Career Plug and just kind of see what really is in there and what's available for you to use. But it is the pro plan. That's why we've done it for you guys. It really is super helpful in recruiting in this first year. I know some of you did have questions in regards to, you know, if you're working out of your home, how do you work around bringing your technician to your house? How does that really work? Is it a little tricky? You know, I've talked to some RBCs and they say this is always a struggle for the newer franchisees because 9 out of 10 of you are working out of your home. So really the only advice that they have given me is from the beginning, you know, set those expectations, set those boundaries with your technician. Have them only go, you know, into the garage. You don't want them coming into your kitchen or anything like that. Set those boundaries. Let's say your technician is coming at 10 a.m. to pick up the vehicle. Make sure you have the van fully loaded. You have their route planned out, everything ready for them to go. So there's no waiting time by the time they get there. They're not waiting in your garage. They're not hanging out in your house. They just come in, pick the vehicle up and go. It is going to be a little tough to kind of work around at first because let's say your house, you know, isn't along the route and it's not really fitting in time schedule. It's just something you'll need to plan for. Start your technician's day off a little bit sooner and accommodate for that 30 minute, you know, travel time to come to your house, pick up the vehicle, that kind of thing. The garage is the first step. The next step is, you know, if you have a shed or something like that, that's really a good place to designate as the work zone. So they're not even coming into your home at all. The shed is the meeting place. That's where they pick up the vehicle. And then the next step after that is getting a storage unit, but it's not always necessary and you don't really want that expense in the first year. But if you're not comfortable with having them come to your home, that's something you can consider. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? We're all in the process of actively recruiting, or has anyone posted a job online yet on Career Plug, or we're just kind of starting out thinking about that?
I was waiting for this call before I did anything, so now I have a list of things to do.
I think we'll probably try to get something up this weekend.
Same here. I'll need to hire somebody pretty quick and just, I don't know, there's so much coming together now. And yeah, so I'll need to start posting. But I'm mostly worried because my loan hasn't funded yet. It's like after I open, so it's going to be a struggle. But hopefully not too long after that. Then I think that what if they don't fund me? It's going to happen. I mean, I'm putting my money in it now, just kind of keep things going or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have the same fears.
We're hiring a second technician because we anticipate growth. The hardest thing for us as we're planning is like our RBC is like, well, look at what the previous owner did. I'm like, it's not an accurate picture. We can't plan off of his when he only grew 30 customers a year. It's like, we should be able to grow more than 30 just in the subdivision we live in. It's like, so we're right at that point of we might even need a second van before the year's over next year. So it's weird. It's a weird time.
Yeah, definitely look at your weekly, that business plan from Dave. Look at your weekly sales projections that he has given you, and then, think about how many services do you get done in a week based off of, size of the lawn, how far apart they are, just kind of that different variables there. And you'll be able to make a better educated guess of when you need to start either adding a second technician or increasing the hours of your technician now. I would definitely, again, can't stress this enough, I would default to your RBC, especially for the hiring and the recruiting. I just wanted to put together a couple slides because I know that is top of mind for everybody right now. So I did just want to give you an overview, but definitely reach out to your RBC, even if he hasn't reached out yet. And if you need me, if anyone needs me to make the introduction and just let the RBC know that you're looking for more help as far as recruiting, just let me know. I could definitely make that introduction for you. And then just pick their brains. They have way more experience in the recruitment side of things and hiring.
So I am curious, how many of the group here plan on going out servicing yards themselves versus hiring a technician right off the bat? Dean?
I mean, I thought I'd start off doing it myself. I don't know that I'll have somebody in place, but I want to be able to do them. I want to know everything before I hand off to somebody. My thought was, way back, I thought it would be like 3 to 6 months into this before I hired somebody. But now that we're getting closer, that probably doesn't seem like a good idea. And I'm hoping that this grows pretty quick here, and where I'm at. But yeah, there's just a lot of unknowns. So trying to stay focused and then not get sidetracked as, pulling everything together here. It's getting close for me. I don't know, my RBC will be here the first week of December. So that's right around the corner. My shit's not ready, so I've already decided, well, I'm going to have to go to a storage unit, initially probably. There's a couple options real close by me here. So I don't know. I mean, I hope to grow quick enough to move to a warehouse, but we'll see.
You won't have someone hired by the first week of December?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, But, talking to like Homer and Lafayette, he's like, at first you're going to have time, he said, you'll have some time, but I mean, I already got like maybe 4 to 5 potential. I know 2 for sure, customers right out the chute, but that's not many. And I mean, I ran into a guy yesterday. He wanted my information and stuff. I was getting oil changed. And so another potential. And we'll see. But I've been wearing this everywhere. So
there you go.
I'm getting them used to it, So
speaking of that, I guess we need to go ahead and buy a shirt. I think y'all mentioned that in training. We haven't done that yet. Or
Yeah, so as far as uniforms, you could go to Land's End, Cintas, or any local vendor that you'd like to use. You have up until $150 we can reimburse you for. So whatever you purchase, just send me a receipt and then I can get you a reimbursement for that. And I do want to say, you know, as far as, you know, how soon to get your technician, if you were thinking, you know, 3 to 6 months, we've seen it. I mentioned this on a lot of my introduction calls. I've seen the one-man show and the person do the servicing, the sales, all that. We do have the call center to help with the influx of leads that you're going to be getting. But if you're going to be the only one servicing, your ground game is going to kind of go to the back burner and you won't be able to complete all those goals. So you just won't end up being as successful by the end of the year because you just don't have the time. It's just not possible for one person to do it all. I definitely think in your power window, they don't necessarily need to start off full time. They could start off at 20 hours and you'll be able to see how quickly you're growing. I would set those expectations right away with your technician in the hiring process. Let them know I'm starting off at 20 hours, but there's a huge possibility that we could quickly jump to 40 hours because you don't want halfway through the power window, jump to 40 hours and they say, whoa, I thought I was part-time. So just make sure you're setting those expectations from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do kind of part-time at first, just so I can have him help me with the ground game, you know, putting out door flyers and, you know, waving. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to even fit in that thumb suit. So, I mean, so that's kind of what my plan is. Either, you know, hire a college kid or, you know, some kid who doesn't even want to go to college even and just has a good work ethic and a smile on his face, you know. But I mean, that's kind of what I plan on doing. And then, you know, set up bonus structure enough to where, you know, you can hire him at, you know, 10 to 15 bucks an hour. And then, you know, he can potentially make, you know, up to, you know, $25 an hour. In bonuses, you know, if you average it out throughout the whole month or whatever. So, but
Hey, Gabriella, you sent the that employee handbook. Is that just like a suggested version of that, or is that one that is organization wide? And I think the ADP mentioned that they do some kind of service like that too.
Yeah, the employee handbook, I got that from an RBC that he sends out to his franchisees. There is something on ADP. I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but the ADP does have all that uploaded on there as well that you could utilize. And then I did send out the compensation suggestions, you know, something to consider whether you want to do base pay plus commission. You know, I had a franchisee from last year. They do a base pay and then do any commission for any leads that come in, you know, any sales that they close themselves. Megan, I don't know, do you want to share about how you do it or?
Well, when we first brought him on, it was just base pay, but this next year, that's what we're going to do. We'll do base pay plus paid for leads that are generated by the work that he's doing.
Yeah. I recommend that.
We haven't ironed out what that amount is, but that's what our plan is, to have base plus commission. We have our meeting with him next week to discuss next year's goals, and he's starting Lawn Doctor training. He's been with the company for 1.5 years, and he starts his training next week because he never logged into lawndoctor.com or the Lawn Doctor University. So I told him we're starting from scratch, like I just met you, and he's totally fine with that.
Good. And then I do recommend, you know, somebody had asked the question, is your technician going to be doing it all? Are you going to be servicing? I would definitely be servicing on your own. You want to know all aspects of the business. You want to have that experience going out on a customer's lawn. So definitely I would do it part-time for sure at first. And then you can kind of pull back the reins and let them do all the services, but you're going to want that experience just as being the owner of the Lawn Doctor. Does anyone have any questions for the group on anything now at this point? I'll open up to any kind of things that you wanted to pick each other's brains on, anything that you're going through at this time that you wanted to ask advice about. Doesn't have to be hiring related. It could be anything.
I had a question about aerations. How are people going to handle that? Are they going to rent an aerator the first year? I guess kind of group all the work into a week or so and rent one, or are they going to buy a aerator, or how's that going to go?
You know, from talking to the guys in, well, down in Lafayette, they just don't do them and try to push the soil enrichment program. And then over at by the New Orleans and Mandeville and Covington, I think that I'm not sure if they do them either. I know they try to push soil enrichment also, but they may do some. And I was thought about that too. And one of the Zoom meetings, I'm trying to remember who to talk to, you know, they have some special pricing with some vendors. Lawn Doctor does to buy these aerators. They're not cheap, but yeah, I've been trying to figure that out too, because I was researching online, looking where I could rent one, and there's really none available. You know, like Home Depot and stuff. They don't have those. You know, and you probably end up with a piece of crap if you could find one to rent.
Yeah, down here in the South, they don't have many for rent at all. You know, the ones that housed, I forget who sent us the flyer, but it was Turf Co. that had I think it was like $10,000 for a 30-inch aerator.
Yeah.
So one of the other franchisees I worked with up in the Woodlands, she has one. And one of the neighboring franchisees actually borrowed hers or rented hers for a week from her. So if you can find somebody close to you that has one, maybe you could work out a deal with them as well.
We have a walk behind that we've used. I don't know how old, if it's 4 years as old as the franchise or if he got it the second year, but we're actually going to get a ride-on one for next season due to the amounts of aeration that we have. And with the van, you couldn't fit the tamer and the aerator on, so we'd have to aerate and then go back and seed the day after, which, yes, you're still getting the work done, but you have to go back to the lawn twice. So we're going to get the ride on with the seeder, so that way you can, if it's not a power seeding, they can do the service at the same time.
Yeah, I heard the walk behinds were awful.
Our technician would share that same sentiment.
Yeah. Very, very labor intensive.
Yeah,
We had one with Scott's, and I would avoid selling aerations because it was horrible. So if I do get one, it'll be a stand on. I may sell my current spray rig that I use right now and put that money into an aerator, but I didn't know what everybody else's plans were or thoughts on it. So.
Yeah, and some of it obviously depends on how big of lawns you're servicing. We have some 30,000 plus square foot lawns that he had to walk in. If it's flat, it's not as bad, but then you throw in a little bit of a slope and it's a long day's work.
So with aerations, it really is a moneymaker. It is a huge, huge upsell. The problem is that aerators are very expensive, and especially in your first year, do you want to add that expense on top of everything else? So what I've seen is first year franchisees usually go the rent it for a week or however many days you do it for. That takes a lot of organization on your end because you need to organize all of your aerations on the days that you have it rented. If you can only rent a walk behind, that's also something to consider because it is very grueling on the body. It's going to take a toll on you for sure. You could, if you know that you're going to push it and you know that you're going to promote it a lot, then maybe, purchasing one pays off and you get the return of investment. Or that's I think the reaching out to a local lawn doctor to kind of help you for 1 week is a great idea. I've seen that in the past as well. It's just really how much are you going to promote it and how much is it going to end up costing you. If you're not going to make the money back on the 10,000 aerator, don't consider purchasing it in the first year. And that's something, again, I would default to your RBC about, but 9 out of 10 times they end up renting the aerator just because they can't justify the expense. Anyone else with a question for the group?
It's not a question, but you guys are lucky you don't have to worry about overhauling your equipment this winter. You get brand new stuff. We get to rebuild and take apart and find
Super
out
fun.
all the fun stuff.
Yeah. So for next week, well, not next week, the 4th that I have here, here are just a couple things. Again, I am very open to adjusting my schedule to whatever fits you guys, but I do want to talk about Kigo and SEO. I want to talk about localizing your website. A lot of you have said, hey, I've searched my website and I'm not there. So let's talk about that, how we can get you online, and then also just some Facebook best practices. And these are just kind of the smaller marketing strategy before we get into the bread and butter, which is the ground game, but I thought that was a good one. Your homework, I'm going to be sending out an About Us page, an About Us page survey for you to fill out. It's just a questionnaire, and then we'll write up an About Us page in response to those responses. And then also, don't forget, if you haven't already, to register for the conference. Did anyone not register for the conference yet? Just make sure you do that. It's going to be, is it the first week? Whatever the dates are, but it's all a lot more open forum style. You can ask, 15, 20-year franchisees questions, that kind of thing, all different topics. So definitely make sure you get registered for that.
I think that's the 7th through the 9th of December.
Yeah, the first weekish of December. Yep. So it's coming up soon.
Perfect, because that's like days after my opening date.
Yeah.
It's like 3rd and 4th, I think Mike will be here.
You've got a lot on your plate, Dean, coming up. But you'll be the guinea pig for everybody else, so you can share your experience. Yes. Does anybody else need anything else on the agenda for 2 weeks' time? Are there any lingering questions? I know some of you are starting to think about your media campaigns. I will have Christina and someone from her team to come on and kind of give you a deep dive into what your media looks like. So don't worry about that. I hope the recruitment best practices we went through today did help a little bit. Again, get in contact with your RBC. Anything else that you guys would like to see?
That homework for the About Us pages, is that for the website? Are you talking about?
Yeah, so yep, it's an About Us page that I'll add to the website. I will ask also, we'll talk about it in 2 weeks how to localize, but any images, as soon as you get your vehicle, you're going to want to take a picture with your Lawn Doctor gear, send that over to me. Anything you can to add that local flair and your personality to the website, we're going to want to add to your page. But the About Us pages I'll be sending over for you to fill out. Oh, and then another thing that I'll send out with the About Us pages, for direct mail, so we'll send out those postcards, we do need a return address. And a lot of you it's your home address, so we don't want to be putting your home address on anything going out to thousands of people. So if you have a P.O. box, I'm not sure if anyone has purchased a P.O. box. If you do, please send that to me. And if not, we could put the corporate address as the return address. So in my email with the About Us page questionnaire, I'll ask you, how would you like to handle your return address? So just be thinking about that.
No, sorry, I'm just jumped in here. Did the meeting start at 11 o'clock Central Time?
It started, yeah, so 12 o'clock Eastern.
Oh, sorry about that. I had it on my calendar I confirmed that even. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I recorded it so I could send it out to you. We talked about recruitment best practices, hiring technician, that kind of thing. But feel free. We do have, we are at the 1 o'clock, but if you have any questions for the group that you want to kind of pick anyone's brain while we have everybody.
No, I think I'm good right now.
I have to leave because I'm supposed to be in that AMA call-in now with Real Green. So right now, so I'll just leave.
All right, sounds good. I'll let everybody go. John, I'll send you the recording, okay?
My apologies. It was on my calendar for 12 noon Central Time, so.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.